When I started my Game Boy SHMUP collection, R-Type was one of the first games I picked up. The original 1989 arcade game was an influential and highly popular shooter, well known for its punishing difficulty and frantic action, and I wanted to see how well such a game fared on a fairly limited handheld. Although the original DMG-01 Game Boy isn't really known for its shooters, likely because they're relatively few and far between, the games I've picked up have continually impressed me. Given the technical constraints of the system, it's incredible how well the ports of arcade games play, and R-Type, you'll be pleased to know, is no exception. From the first time I plugged it in, I found myself repeatedly impressed at how smoothly the game runs, and how close to the arcade original it plays. All the core components are there, shrunk down into the palm of your hand. There are a decent amount of sprites and bullets on screen, and despite the restricted 4-colour palette, it looks genuinely decent. I must say, playing shmups on an original unmodified DMG is kind of challenging. The screen quality makes it pretty hard to see the small bullets and quickly moving enemies, and things don't stand out too well, making it extra challenging. For me, a backlight modified Game Boy, or the Super Game Boy, are the best ways to play. If you look closely at the game, you'll see some of the sprites flickering in and out slightly. I think I read somewhere that this is a way to conserve memory, but I might be wrong. The R-Type games are well known for their enticing selection of firing modes and power-ups, and all of them make it across to this port. My favourite aspect is the Force, the auxiliary craft that can attach to your ship or be sent off alone. Mastering the use of this is the key to progressing to the later stages. It can be used to absorb bullets and push through enemies, and with a bit of practice you'll find ways to beat the bosses very easily by wedging it right in the weak spot. There are additions to your shot that allow diagonal lasers to spread out across the level, and one that shoots tracking fire along nearby surfaces. The latter power is crucial to taking down the big mothership on level 3. The arcade game is pretty well known for its difficulty. The challenge of the original has been translated onto the handheld, but thankfully the game is a little bit easier. In order to fit the game onto the cartridge, 2 of the original levels are cut out, which could be seen as a major drawback to the Game Boy version. However, in some ways this makes it a more enjoyable experience. The core gameplay and challenge is still there, but it isn't a gigantic task to practice the game and eventually finish it. This is one of the reasons I love Game Boy games so much. They present a challenge, but also can be beaten relatively quickly once you're experienced. Once you know what you're doing, you can get through this one in about 15 minutes. Certainly most of the earlier levels are a walk in the park, but don't be lured into a false sense of security because level 4 is horribly tough. That level involves navigating a maze of moving blocks and carefully placing your craft in exactly the right place to avoid dying. That level is the reason I can't yet 1-credit complete the game. I just can't seem to get through it without losing a life. The challenge makes the game pretty exhilarating though, and even when I die I don't find it too frustrating. One thing I did notice when playing the game is that the bosses can be a little bit disappointing. Most of them can be beaten very easily, especially once you know how to use the Force best, and tend to have very predictable and easily dodgeable attack patterns. Bullet hell shooter, this is not. I've got to say, some of them look a bit naff too. The boss at the end of level 5, a weird garbage snail, is just kind of odd, and it takes oddly long to kill as well. He's not challenging, he just doesn't want to die. Usually in these kinds of games, the last boss is an absolute beast. It's weird because in the Game Boy R-Type, he's not too much trouble at all. It's kind of anticlimactic and a bit of a letdown. Though on the other hand, part of me kind of likes the fact that it isn't brutally difficult. It means someone like me can actually beat it without too much trouble. When you get to the end of the game the first time, you'll find that the Baido Empire isn't completely defeated and you get the chance to play again on a slightly more difficult mode. I honestly couldn't see that much difference from the first mode to be honest, but it's a nice touch to give the game a little bit more longevity and challenge. If you're looking to start a Game Boy SHMUP collection, I'd say this is the place to start. The game is slick, challenging, and has just the right difficulty curve to keep you coming back without making you too stressed, and it's a great way to pass a spare half an hour. It isn't too hard to get hold of, it's not too expensive either, so what are you waiting for? Pick up R-Type on the Game Boy. I hope you guys have enjoyed this review, and as always, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Take care, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.